What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Downloadable Brain Podcast. I'm your host, Brain44, and today we're going to be opening Downloadable Brain with a brand new season. This will be episode 1 of season 2, and we've really come a long way with the podcast. I'm going to call this one Artist Seeing AI as a Strength. And I'm going to discuss how I feel regarding the entire process of creation using AI, how I feel it can greatly benefit us as creators if used right, and how overusing it can actually destroy all artistic creativity if it's overdone or misused. But I've always seen it as a tool. So I'm just going to start out by discussing how I use AI to bring my projects forward and how it's really helped me out as a person who records his own music. First of all, let me just start out by saying I've been doing music for most of my life, but it wasn't until much later that I decided to go solo and focus on doing my own thing. When I had an older channel with different recordings, I wasn't really that experienced yet or where I wanted to be, but I've come a long way since. I needed to step away from social media completely, and I decided whether or not I was ever going to make music again, because for a while there I was convinced it was over for me, but I had an epiphany. I said, fuck this sitting around here, accomplishing nothing and listening to people talk down on me who were always there to encourage my downfall. Whenever I started doing something productive, I'm just going to stop caring what people say, not tell a single person that I made a new YouTube channel, and don't tell them anything I do regarding recording music, releasing my own music, and doing podcasts and things like that. So I came back stronger under my artist name, Spiritual Advisor, which is what I'm going to stick by. And when I do Downloadable Brain, I go by the name Brain44, just kind of my podcast host name. I already had some old songs recorded that were good. Some were mixed poorly, but nothing had vocals, and I just needed to get back into doing this. So I released my debut self-titled instrumental album. But since I don't know anybody who's good at illustrating or graphic design, I just needed an album cover. I said, all right, fine, I'm going to use AI and see what I can come up with. And this is the album cover that came out using one of my pictures, just running it through AI. It was kind of a fuck you to people who called me a useless, lazy scrub and chose to discredit me when I was always working my ass off on music, and people spend more time sitting on their ass talking about me than recording music like I do. I made myself look like a businessman in a suit, even though I'm not like flashy or materialistic at all. I just kind of did that to be a smartass and to challenge and bruise the egos of those who said I am nothing and I deserve nothing. People were cheering on my downfall while also playing in my energy and pretending like I'm not a contributor when they mimic my style anyways. But these are some of the same people who wanted me homeless. So I came back with a big fuck you with this one track called Not Homeless and Living, because people also wanted me dead, but that's another subject. So they were cheering on my downfall while playing in my energy, pretending like I'm not a contributor. They mimic my style, which tells me I'm actually pretty good, because if people mimic my style, they don't have much to offer and they must be drawing inspiration from what I'm doing, right? Anyways, I released that album with this AI album cover. And I also came up with a profile picture to go with my main channel. It's got me wearing the crown, which just symbolizes my connection to spirituality, my rank, and how others try to compete where there is no competition. But then they expect me to make myself smaller for their own benefits, and I was like, yeah, that's not really going to work for me, even though to an entitled individual, stealing everything from me would be great for them. I said, fuck this, I'm stepping into my power, I know who I am, and I understand my talents. Now, discrediting me because I choose to use AI is really up to the lurker. You're not here to support the channel. You're not here to support the podcast. You don't like the music I'm recording. Fine, you're allowed to dislike it. But to sit there, lurk, and then talk shit, but act like you're kind of doing it like a little bit sneakily, I know what you're doing, and you're not pulling one over on me, and you're not fooling anybody. I'm not the kind of guy who sits there and watches people in secret if I'm hating on them. If I don't like a motherfucker, I'm like, I never want to see this guy's fucking face again. And if YouTube plasters his face on the algorithm and I'm forced to see it, I'll bet I might be like, fuck this guy, he's a geek, and then just scroll past it, whatever. Now, I want to get into the subject of AI and how sitting around and bitching about it doesn't really accomplish anything, but you could choose to use it as a tool and not view it as competition, because people who are working on music don't have time to sit there all day and bitch about things. But I'll tell you something, even as a drummer, if you want to talk about technology and people finding fault with relying on technology or too much of it and cheating, okay, AI can definitely be overdone, but I don't see how using it for graphic design or something like that takes away anything from the actual music. And if you use it to like bring visualizations towards a video, it's only going to make the presentation better. But you can't cheat, because if you're cheating, then you're just kind of fucking yourself over. But as a drummer, I work very hard on my craft, and I want to discuss how sitting around and bitching about people relying on too much technology accomplishes nothing. So as a drummer, I saw all these guys coming out with albums using program beats with things like Easy Drummer and Beatcraft, and it became the standard for a lot of solo artists like myself. That became socially acceptable and normal in indie music productions. Like, everybody under the sun was releasing indie albums with programmed drums, and the listeners were okay with it. But as a drummer, like, I work my ass off on playing the drums, and I'm sitting there seeing that, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, you know how hard I worked to get to this level, and now they all want to use programmed drums on their albums? And it really triggered me for a while. It was something that pissed me off. It made me question the direction of music, where people are going. And yeah, for a while, I guess I was butthurt about it. But then I realized something. Me sitting there bitching and complaining and whining about people using programmed drum beats for their albums does nothing to benefit me. So if I dislike somebody using programmed drums and they're going to go ahead and do it anyway, I guess it's my problem if I'm obsessing over it or if I'm overthinking it, because they're the ones who are releasing the music to their listeners, not me. I know I wouldn't use programmed drums, but they do, and they're okay with it. It does nothing to benefit music fans or yourself, whether you accept programmed drums or not, because I can tell you right now, I dislike it, and I have a problem with it, but I'm just going to shut the fuck up and record my own music. That's what this is all about. So that was really the first vision I ever had of becoming a solo artist, and I saw the way technology was going. Back when I was only a drummer with barely any knowledge on how to play the guitar, and I didn't know anything about recording my own music, but I've come a long way. A lot has changed. I've been at this for a while, even if I only started back up making music again this year. I am fortunate to have what I have, because money's always tight for me, but that doesn't necessarily mean I have to stop making music, so I haven't. And yes, I've used AI for most of my album covers, even the presentation of how I pitch myself as an artist. Things would probably change, I would say, if I knew the right people who can design good album covers for me, and the right people who can help take better photos or bring my visions to life, but I don't know anybody like that, and sometimes I just see these guys that you can find on Instagram or something like that, and they're nothing special with their graphic design. If you really want to stand out and look good, then you can pay the right person to do a good job if you have a good idea for cover art or something. But I find I'm at a point where I don't know anybody like that, so AI is able to give me exactly what I need for cover art, but I don't rely on it entirely. Sometimes I'll just use a simple picture. Here's the cover art for my EP called Lessons. It was a follow-up to my instrumental album. See the squirrely out there in the desert with nothing but his microphone? It's kind of another personal thing, because people wanted me left out in the cold with nothing, money all dried up. but they wanted to like one up me and try and keep it a secret and treat me like I'm stupid. And they wanted everybody hating on me and nobody wanting to ever offer me anything, want to work with me or support me. I said, okay, fine, bitch, talk your shit behind my back. Here's my introduction to making music as I dial it up a notch with interpreting vocals into my work. Lessons was really where things started to take off, and I'm no longer self conscious about singing. It goes back to the little story I told about me being butthurt about so many people using programmed drums for their albums. Like, I can sit there and bitch and complain about things not going my way and not liking it, or I can just step into my own abilities and do the work. So I went with option B. Now, I'm pretty new to vocals, but I've already come a long way with my voice and vocal range in a very, very short period of time. I haven't even been singing for a year yet. Like, I still see my vocals as not the best at this point, but it's definitely an improvement from the time I got started. And the message I wanted to convey is that I'm coming back swinging, and I'm not taking any shit from anybody who expects me to shrink myself down so they can benefit from the results of my downfall. There's so many sarcastic digs, symbolisms, and refusing to put up with being treated like shit on this EP Lessons that I might as well get a plaque for mastering the art of psychological warfare. I feel like it's directed at so many different people, and every message in there, every symbolic little dig, the right person will probably hear it, but they have no reason watching me, especially if I'm telling them not to watch me, and especially if I didn't even tell them about my channel. Like, I view that shit as obsessive stalking. It's fucking weird, and sometimes the only thing you can do is teach people a lesson in a song, I guess. So I looked at every track on Lessons as not even a song. Like, I was just pissed off and I needed to let my anger out. So I called each individual track a different lesson. That's why the EP is called Lessons. And you know, I'm not really an angry guy, but I don't appreciate being disrespected and taken advantage of, and I'm not going to put up with any shit. I've made that pretty clear. This wasn't really coming back to get two birds with one stone. It was probably more like 500. I wanted to make everybody who ever talked shit about me and played in my energy regret the day they opened their big mouths and got nosy. And I made a bold statement with Lessons. Aside from that, I also mass released a bunch of singles, a lot of it combining my own style of metal with influence from rap and hip hop. Only it was mainly satire, just kind of being this witty man who speaks fluent sarcasm and likes to clap back against people who speak my name in disrespect. But I'll just show you guys some cover art with no AI at all. This is nothing impressive. I just wanted a plain picture of myself wearing the goofy hat, and I did some color enhancements. But beyond that, I didn't have much of a story to tell through the visual. But the song, if you listen to it, it does challenge what right people who don't know me have to hate on me. But they speak their hatred for me secretly without even acknowledging it openly that you're trying to one-up me or compete or you're hating. Like, man, if you do that, that's a fucking pussy bitch move, man. Whether you're a man or a woman, if you can't like openly say I have a problem with you and it's probably unjustified because I probably don't know you, then you're just a hater and you need to move on with your life. But I can't tell you what to do. If I don't like somebody, I might have to tell them I don't like them, or I just won't even pay attention to them. But that's just me, if I'm being honest. I can't stand a lot of these motherfuckers on YouTube, but there's plenty of other dicks or bitches I dislike on other platforms as well. Oh well, life goes on, and there's more to life than drama and being toxic. If you want to live in that energy forever, then that's what you'll manifest. Pure chaos and destruction, and it's going to bring you bad luck throughout life. I'm going to show you guys one more. This is cover art from a single I did called Profits for Profit, but it's AI again because I guess you can say coming out of a fake, faith-based, hateful family was just something I got pretty angry about when I discovered they were masking their evil in the form of a righteous religion. And I knew I was being lied to by a lot of people playing innocent. and acting sweet in public, but they're monsters when they get me alone in a room. Evil as hell towards me behind the scenes, but Profits for Profit was taking shots at all those people with ministries who pretend to be righteous, but they're actually really selfish and they just care about money. They don't care if they mislead people, they don't care if they steer those who follow them down the wrong path. The soulless, skeletal being in this cover art, leading people towards a path of destruction, is pretty self-explanatory. But I relied heavily on AI to convey that message in the form of a visual. The music itself was all recorded by me, and it's kind of satire rap, but also sort of a clapback and roasting people who have ministries and use spiritual beliefs as a way to attack or hurt other people. They've done it to me before, and that really made me question like where I was at on my spiritual path. Even though it pissed me off, I can at least be humorous on the song in the form of a satire rap. It's definitely a diss track or psychological warfare, whatever you want to call it. Kind of a retaliation for the fake faith family who abused me and the fake righteous who have ministries and use the word of God or something like that to attack people. And, I'm not saying I'm not open to working with an experienced illustrator or graphics designer, if you know somebody like that who can bring your ideas to life. But I don't really know anybody like that. And when I search for people on the internet, I don't really find anything I'm looking for, so I just use AI. And this goes to what I want to say about the right way and wrong way to use AI. I feel like the right way to use AI is to bring your visual presentations when you are creating something like music to its biggest potential. The wrong way to use AI is to tell AI to just write the whole damn story for you, write the music for you, do the entire video for you, because then it's no longer a matter of a musician writing their own stuff or a video person making their own videos. It's just a matter of a person who sits comfortably in their easy chair, not doing any work, just expecting money to come to them without doing any actual work. Now, with full-on AI music being released, I've already seen investors far surpass me by releasing AI projects on Spotify. They outnumber me in streams, but it's not because AI is competing with me or because AI is better than me. I'm not even viewing it like that. But I understand that even though it wasn't a competition, these guys have more money to invest in their projects. So it's going to see more results because they're putting money into it. I have less money to invest. I do this all by myself. But like I said, I'm only using AI to bring forth a visual experience. I'm not editing my vocals or anything beyond adding something like reverb or a distortion plugin. And I'm not telling AI to play the guitar or drums for me or bass, but if you want to bitch at me for a visual presentation with AI, you should probably be criticizing all those guys who use things like Easy Drummer and Beatcraft or whatever the thing is to just program their own drums instead of play it, or at least hire a guy to play drums for them and do drum track. But if you're going to be that guy who spends all day bitching and whining about everything you're hearing from somebody else, it's like, just focus on your own thing would be my advice. Everything you're hearing from me is my own energy signature and my own talents. I'm not sitting around all day copying anybody. If somebody inspires me, then I may potentially take inspiration from it, but I'm not copying anybody's style. That's lame. You got to get your own style. You got to be your own person. The way I see it is, if you're somebody who's just sitting there watching people to constantly talk shit about them, I can't really say you're on my level in terms of recording music because I don't spend all day sitting around talking shit about people. I'm too busy working on music. And it could be related to anybody else who does anything creative. Music is a difficult thing and it's hard work. Not everybody can do it. Some people can do it easily. For some of us, it takes years to master our craft, but it may not be for everybody. It may not be for you. For those who tell AI to write their own music directly for them, it's just sitting comfortably in your easy chair, not doing the work. And it's like you didn't put a single bit of musical ability into that. You just told AI to do the whole thing. So before you bitch at me about just using it to enhance my visual presentation, should be criticizing the guys who made like programmed drum beats the standard, because that really was a step backwards for the future of music, in my opinion. Unless it's something like dubstep and you're into like DJ music, I'm not knocking anybody who does that. I don't have anything against it if that's your thing, but if you're gonna like do rock music or I don't know, jazz, can you imagine if jazz switched to program beats? I'm sure it probably can. Can you imagine if, well, pop, a lot of pop artists do use program beats. And hip hop, that was kind of a thing for those guys, but that was what made them unique, and they didn't do it to the point where it was lame. Like, when you see guys doing it in metal, unless you're some sort of industrial metal project trying to go for that specific sound, it's kind of lame if you're programming your beats. But I'm not the music critic, and don't get pissed off at me for saying that. You're probably pissed off at me just for being myself, and if that's your energy, then you're toxic as fuck, and I encourage you to get therapy. Anyways, so I mentioned how just using like visual experiences to generate cover art with AI has helped me a lot. And AI can really be a tool for musicians if it's used right, but the wrong way to do it is just tell AI to write the music for you. And can you imagine if like you have these actors and actresses who started trying to view AI as like their competition? I'm sure they would stop making movies entirely, or maybe that's the direction the motion picture industry is headed, but I kind of doubt it. Much like music, musicians aren't going anywhere. So why would actors and actresses go anywhere? Just because AI can recreate something doesn't mean you have to see it as a threat, but I just encourage you to use it as a tool, like whether you want to generate cover art or just add some sort of really crazy visual effect to increase the overall experience in a video. I see it as a strength, and I know it's helped me out a lot, but to each their own. Don't sit comfortably in your easy chair. That's my only advice regarding AI. Record all your own music, sing your own tunes, record your own drums if you can. If you can't play drums, hire a guy that can record some drum tracks for you. That's going to be the ending of this opening second season for Downloadable Brain. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, Brain 44 Sun Note.